Or
My,
Not a problem.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit recording, and then I'll start the live transcript as well.
okay, no more cursing, Jade. What's your
Thank you,
language?
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah,
Happy
my
voice.
We
ears
have
are
about
still
Careful.
burning.
10 seconds, so 4 seconds, and we'll be ready to go.
Nice. Thanks for adjusting my lighting, Jade. That was
It's
good.
definitely better.
And
Nice.
here they come.
Nice. Greetings.
Yes. People are arriving. How exciting. Mark, I'm thinking about putting up our slide.
Sure.
Okay.
Great idea. You're thinking about it, or
I'm going
you're
to plan to
taking
do it right
action.
now.
Yeah, you're going
Taking
to do it.
action.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good thinking. Let's see. Can we view?
You know you're in the right one.
Yeah.
So I think we should wait a minute or two for people to arrive.
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. I want to get this list. Yeah, our session went right up till 10 minutes before the top of the hour. So if people were watching that, they need a couple minutes to welcome
Take a
everyone.
break.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day here in Western Massachusetts.
Yay. No snow. Oh, sorry. Did I mention it's bad to
okay.
mention the S word when it's still close enough to the season, right?
It's fine to talk about snow in the spring. That works for me.
Nice.
What's going on here? People are saying hello in the chat.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. One thing that I think I know about chat is that when someone joins a meeting that's in progress, they only start seeing the chat after they join. They don't see the history of the chat.
Yes.
So
that is true. I've been stumped by that several times.
yeah.
Where's the link? Where's the link?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe when we start, Jade, we can encourage everybody to exercise their chat muscles.
Yeah. Say hey.
Say hey, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a couple minutes after, and I'm raring to go. I don't know about you all, having fun at the Up and Coming conference so far. For folks who've joined us, it might be super cool if you renamed yourself with your co-op name too, your name and your co-op name, or
Oh yeah, if
fun,
yeah,
if you would like.
Great idea.
Yeah. If you were at Up and Coming in person, your name tag would say your co-op name.
Hey, Hillsborough.
So I'm for waiting maybe just one more minute. Probably a beautiful day in many places. So
Sounds good. I know you have we have a action-packed plan for the next 90 minutes. So, but there was probably 5 minutes of flex built in, right, Jade?
yeah, right, Mark.
Good planning.
Thank you, Mark. I'm not nervous.
Good.
It is a little rainy here in Chicago. We had the beautiful sunshine yesterday, and now the rain's moved in.
You know, for these Zoom conferences, rainy weather is perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
I can see it rain out there and I can focus on beautiful faces in front of me.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Well, it's nice on the East Coast. It's actually the top of the day. It's like noonish, and that's actually the worst time to be outside in terms of sun exposure.
Yeah,
So take a little
perfect.
break, come to the workshop. All right. Well, I'm thinking of getting started
I think that's a
now.
good idea.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to do we can see our slideshow. Mark Goring and I are your presenters today, and I'm going to do a little demo of our co-op, which is Colluminate.
Yay.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Strategies, tools, and skills to help organizations build and empower community. So it's our co-op of co-op consultants. So welcome
Nice.
you all. So today's workshop, you probably read the intro about it, and my name is Jade Barker, and I'm a co-op. I consult with co-ops with Colluminate, and I'm very passionate about startups, and I'm especially passionate about startups in today's world, trying to make sure that everybody gets access to good food. As I mentioned to Mark yesterday, my mom drives across town to get food from the white part of town because their grocery stores are better. So I feel like we can do better for people. Mark, you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Jade. Hey, everybody. I just watched our recording of some of us sharing insights on the shifts, and watching, us and that group talk really reminded me of of how grateful I am to be part of our consulting group, where we kind of build our own wisdom and learning through dialogue and working with each other pretty closely on projects, and so we're deployed and engaged with many of you, and then we're constantly huddling up and kind of imagining, well, where does that take us? I now live in Tucson. I spent about 30 years in Brattleboro, Vermont, and served on the board of directors of the Brattleboro Food Co-op 1997 to 2005. And when I became a consultant, I had the good fortune of meeting Jade and starting to work with her as she was a director of the startup at that time, River Valley Co-op, which is probably for sure the most successful, biggest, awesome startup food co-op. They're about to open their second store. And I started working with Jade and the board 10 years before store opening. And so long history of that experience. Now, as the manager of Colluminate, one of my jobs is to coordinate the grocery retail experts and managers on contract team. And that's really an incredible group thinking about how to open stores. And we were very involved in the Gem City opening this week, and we're super excited about helping them get that far, and really excited about seeing like what happens in the next 5 years there in Dayton. So yeah, glad to be here. Looking forward to the conversation that we're going to build up with this group. Thanks for bringing us together, Jade.
Yes, it's a very exciting time for food co-ops, I think. Good. One of the things I wanted to mention too is startups are very near and dear to my heart, because I did get my co-op start at River Valley Co-op. I joined the board about 5 years before we opened, and we opened in 2008, and now we're a $30 million a year business, opening our second store June 23rd in Northampton, Massachusetts. So it's a path. It can be long. There's a lot. It's challenging. There's a lot to do, but it can be super rewarding as well. So you're all here for the workshop, Balancing the Tensions. And so if you've read our introduction, it's really about, as you're talking about your food co-op and you're organizing your food co-op out there, there's some ways that you talk about it and ways you think about what you're offering the community. And some of those things are challenging, or challenges for us. So you've got the challenge of opening, but then you've also got the challenge of how do you describe what it is that you're offering. So many of you know that a lot of areas where people are trying to start food co-ops are areas where grocery stores have abandoned those areas for a lot of market forces that actually make it harder for co-ops to compete in those areas. So in this workshop, we're thinking to be a little lighter on the data and more to give you guys opportunities to talk to each other about how to talk about some of the major challenges that face food co-ops today. So, opening a food co-op is challenging. There's a lot of failures. And considering how difficult this is, there's not necessarily a clear and simple path to success. So we are hoping to get you started on some of these conversations so when you go back to your home co-ops, you'll be able to have them to help increase alignment, but also to be able to build success. So the workshop today, the way we're going to do it is first, we're going to give you an opportunity to think about and articulate in breakout groups with each other, not a lot of time. What is the value that your co-op, that you're offering for community? Like, what do you say when you say we're building a co-op and this is why, this is what's going to happen after we have it. Then we're going to take a look at some of the values that we've been hearing from people, the things that people want to provide with their food co-ops. And then finally, figuring out how to frame those conversations back home so you can create achievable solutions. So our first session and our first breakout is going to be, why are you trying to start a co-op? Now, the plan for today is we're going to have a number of breakout sessions, and they're going to be pretty short and sweet. The way we're planning is each person will have a minute to respond to the question. And so you'll do a go around in your little breakout room, and then we'll give you some open time, like 2 to 5 minutes, depending on the topic, to chat about it with each other. And then we're going to bring you back and find out what you have to say. So this first session and the first question is, what value and benefits will your co-op offer to the community? So I'm going to put that in the chat so that you have access to it if I can find my chat, which I can, and then I'll put you into your breakout rooms. Are there any questions? And if you can put your video on for these breakouts, that'd be great, so you can see each other, not just a blank screen. So yeah.
I don't have a question, Jade, but just a tip that we're going to run the breakouts pretty tight. So when you come, just greet each other as friends and colleagues, and kind of be ready to engage in the question that Jade has framed, because Jade has got the, okay, we're coming back timer running, right?
Yes.
So just be aware of that.
And the first minute may be a smidgen longer than the other minutes, but we will send you a little note that says that's your first minute, here's your second minute, switch to the next person. All right. So here you go. I'm sending you to your breakout rooms. Please say yes to them. Hello, Heather, can you hear me? Are you planning to participate in the breakout sessions today?
Jade, just for reference, I won't be.
How can you don't get sent because you're a host, right?
I'm assuming you're right there, yeah.
I am right. I love being right. All right.
Well, good for you.
So you don't have to worry about going to the rooms.
All
You're
right,
going to be all
thanks.
right. What? So suddenly I'm having trouble. That could be a little quieter.
You are unassigned as far as the breakout rooms.
What's that?
Is your problem getting into a room, because the screen shows you as unassigned?
Me?
You.
Oh, I'm not planning to go in any room ever.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That is not my plan.
All right. That makes sense then.
Okay.
All right.
Because I'm not starting a food co-op.
Well, you should. Everybody should.
I know, right? But I did. And we're
Yeah.
opening our new store
Yes,
Um,
it's been
just-
great watching the progress. Yeah.
It's incredible. I went to the empty shell of the building. Now it's got stuff in it. I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
Where are
This
you
is the
located,
fun-
Stuart?
I'm just outside of Minneapolis in an exurb called Savage.
Huh.
So Valley Co-op Burnsville is my nearest co-op.
What's it called?
Valley Co-op in Burnsville, Minnesota.
Minnesota. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. You know, and the Valley Co-op is run by my son-in-law,
That's a small world.
isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to sign out of my being live on voice here. Hope your session goes really well. I'll be dropping in and out probably, but not there all the time.
All right. Thank you.
You
See you
bet.
later.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Main group.
Welcome back, everyone. Does anyone want to share something special that they want to be providing with their co-op? Anybody? Yeah, Dana.
Well, I was with Dale and Heather joined us for a little bit, but we couldn't hear her. So I'm not sure if she's wants to contribute anything now. But one of the things I was really excited about is we're in Chicago market. So we are definitely not in a food desert in any way, shape or form. And a lot of people say, well, you put food coasts where there are food deserts because people don't have access to food. And we're like, we've got lots of access, but it's not access to the local food and the farm food that is coming from within our city. There's urban agriculture. Dale was talking about the massive amount in Oregon where he is of local farm food that is available, but it's not in the stores. And so for us, I felt like there was alignment between Dale and I, even though we're in very different communities with what we want to offer, which is access to local food, impact to the local community economically, those sorts of things.
Well, Dana, great. It sounds like you've got some great talking points already. I'm sold. When I go to Chicago. So next we were going to thank you all, everyone. So we're going to move into the next piece of talking about some of the things that some folks are thinking to offer there as a value, and one of them is lower prices. I'm going to just show the screen a little bit. Here we go. So a lot of folks do think when they start their co-op, because we're not going to be taking all that cream off the top, that we can offer lower prices to folks. And we often think of retail prices as being set, like something costs a certain amount. But the reality is that the retailer is selling you something that you can buy a lot of different places. And then when they mark it up to be able to pay for their costs for selling it. So just to give an example of that, and this may be familiar to a number of you, here's some sort of numbers. It's a made up example about milk. So you can see at co-op for the costs of these three options, which are one co-op, a second co-op, and Walmart, the two co-ops pay $1.60 for a half gallon of milk, whereas Walmart, because they can buy volume, which is a big price is often dependent on that from wholesalers, gets it for less. And then they retail it at these different prices. And the margin, that's what we would call, markup as a consumer. In each case, they're trying to figure out what will people be willing to buy this for. And in each case, if you look on the right, folks are losing money by selling milk. And that's actually commonly done for retail products in stores that you frequent. It's something that somebody says, oh yeah, I know how much a half a gallon of milk costs. And if they go in, it costs a lot more than that. They may not ever come back to your store, right? So I don't know if you've had that experience where you go in and you say, oh, look how much they're selling that here. This must be an overpriced store. So there's certain items that they do that with. So in the end, this creates a situation where it's very difficult for a smaller store to make a profit. And here's some data from 2017 from organic food co-ops made about a 1% profit. So that would be a penny on a dollar for their revenue. Independent conventional grocery stores actually lost money in 2017. They didn't overall as an industry, and Walmart made 3%. So, and because they basically set the mark. So it's challenging then for a smaller store, especially with our co-ops. We'll only have one store, so we won't necessarily be able to buy in volume from anybody. That'd be difficult for us to have things at low prices. Mark, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, in the couple of other sessions earlier today, what stood out to me, like in CE Pew's kind of framing comments, and also in Bonnie's follow up on that, and in the session that we did, we're talking about what's changed. The competitive environment is as competitive as ever, right? So nothing about running a grocery store has gotten easier in terms of, can you invite customers in and offer them a compelling, shopping experience, especially in the area that Jade is highlighting right now on price. Not to say it can't be done, but it doesn't happen, without a real strategy and foresight. So that'd be my building on what you said, Jade.
Yeah, and not to say there aren't some things that could be cheaper. Certainly bulk tends to be cheaper for people, and a lot of co-ops do offer bulk. Another thing is many co-ops, because they're value driven, might have discounts for low income people. It actually costs money for the co-op. Anyway, so we're going to be doing breakouts again with different people. And so your question this time is, what do you make of this? The difficulty of having low prices, and how will you talk to your community about prices at the co-op? Because that is something that they'll be curious about. So I'm going to open up the rooms again, and again, I'll give you time for a minute, and then you'll have a few 2 or 3 minutes to talk about that.
Thanks, Jade.
After everyone's shared. Okay.
I felt the first breakout, which I did go in, was very successful, and I have confidence in the plan.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I think I just like the idea of getting people's voices in early.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
some people will, like, they have unlimited, they do ties, you know, whatever. So that was 1
Yeah.
minute. Was one.
Yeah, and the 1 minute thing worked perfectly in the group I was in too. So
Good.
yeah.
The first minute is usually, I usually do a little tiny bit longer.
First, yeah.
Longer
You're
first
so
minute, yeah.
you're so generous.
Well, that's when they're looking at each other saying, who's going to talk first?
Good. Oh, I was going to plug because we talked about River Valley Co-op a couple different ways. I think the annual reports at River Valley Co-op are best of class, and they're so accessible on the website. And so, you know, if anybody ever wanted to imagine like what does impact look like, or even how do you tell the story along the way, and Rochelle always sends them, you know, from the very beginning. She sent me an advanced copy, and I look at them immediately and am grateful.
They're
So
very exciting. And that's something maybe to end. I'm glad you're mentioning it for the recording for people that watch later.
oh yeah,
That can go check.
nice.
And I hopefully will maybe mention that to folks, because I do think that impact piece is so important for people.
Yeah,
And that's what we'll be talking
yep,
about.
and they're so beautifully made, and the financial story has really been told so well too, right from the beginning. So
let me see, we talked about 4 minutes.
yeah, I don't want to
No,
get you
longer,
distracted.
10. 5 minutes more to talk about this. I'm good now. I'm ready with them sending a message. And I mean, it's interesting. We have this time in the recording. I didn't prepare something for people watching the recording.
Oh, right.
So if you want to fast forward, we're going to have 5 more minutes of breakout rooms, whoever's watching the video.
Oh, nice. I was just thinking like, oh, what could we say? We could run a multi-dimension workshop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
can
do.
pause the
Oh,
recording. Is that
What's
okay?
that, Sally?
Is that okay if I pause the recording until everybody's back in the room?
Oh, wow. What a great
wow,
idea.
brilliant. Yes,
I
good
love
thinking.
that.
Okay.
Excellent.
There you.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had some interesting discussions in your breakout sessions. And we actually would really like to hear from some of you is how are you thinking to talk to your owners and prospective owners about prices at the co-op? Anyone interested in sharing?
Go for it, Peggy.
Well, one thing is to talk about the true cost of food is not reflected in the price that you pay at the grocery store, and that our focus should be about improving our own self-reliance and ending poverty instead of lowering prices. And helping people purchase food that's within their budget in maybe different ways than they've done before.
Great. Thank you, Peggy. Other folks, somebody else have a?
Yeah, I'll go. One of the other things that we talked about is the difficulty of balancing as a co-op, if we say we want to serve the entire community. But then a lot of, like the vast majority of the people who have already become member owners of our co-op specifically want natural, organic, local food. And how to broach with both with them, but also in terms of what we're actually trying to produce, a balance between having that available as well as being able to accommodate our entire community, many people of whom won't be able to afford the local milk, which right now in our little online shopping thing is $3.49 for a half gallon. So it's, you know, it's like just it's a conundrum that has to be balanced both in terms of what the co-op's vision and expectation is, but also on what the existing and early co-op member owners, what their expectation is or was, and how to potentially moderate that into something that's not a totally purist point of view.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. And that is an important part of this workshop, is thinking about how are you going to talk about these things? Because we have had experience, both Mark and I, of talking to startups that say, oh, we're going to have such low prices, you know, than the other guys. And I'm like, don't think that's actually necessarily true, unlikely to be true. And so what is your selling point? I mean, there'll be some affordable. Does anyone else have something that came up that they thought to say in their rooms that they'd like to share?
Oh, are there grants or something like that that can help? I mean, I know there's like USDA grants and things like that, but I mean, like, so specifically that even a co-op that's like, I don't know, even if when they're running, I mean, just to help with the costs. And then another one is, you know, hopefully we're supposed to be giving subsidies to small farmers. I mean, that's something new. Let's see how that program goes. That can help bring the costs down. And then the other thing is, I was thinking is, what about this whole so I know this kind of started back in the 80s, the whole concept of volume wholesalers get less prices. I mean, so right there, we're playing in an unfair ball game. Is there any way that that'll change with, I don't know, writing to your congressperson, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's interesting studying the grocery business because it has changed a lot in the last few decades. And one of the things, there used to be co-op distributors back in 60s, 70s. And as co-ops, a lot of early co-ops focused on natural foods and local foods. And as the bigger players got into that, they went out of business. And so eventually there weren't really enough co-ops to support the distributors. And those distributors went out of business. Mark?
Well, and hearing that kind of shifting to like problem solving of the issue, when I was thinking of you know, key takeaways from this session, it's really to say, well, let's embark on problem solving as a community over time. Let's say, what if that's part of our vision, and who knows what answers might emerge. So if you can like hold that as a theme, and then just be careful about what the promises are today, right? So like if you're promising low prices and the next topic is great high paying jobs, just be aware, like you're setting the stage for inherent tension, right? And not to say that maybe you won't figure it out, but promising that as part of the you know, this is the solution we're bringing is you know, could add to your community misalignment later. And that's the main thing I think we're trying to.
Thank you for keeping us on track with that, Mark. It is very tempting.
Well, I like the problem solving. It's definitely a thing to work on too, right?
And
Dana?
another thing to think of too, thank you, Mark, is finishing this section up on the lower prices, is really thinking about the other things that may be more important that your co-op is bringing. I know Dana had already brought up supporting local producers and local farmers, keeping money in the community, providing more meaningful jobs because it's a community-owned business, supporting social justice. There's just a lot of things that our co-ops can provide, but lower prices isn't likely one of them. But having a way to talk about that, or to like, I see cultivate community. I didn't get your name.
Paula.
Paula, just to figure out, is there a way to do that? So that's bringing these conversations back to your home co-ops and solving them is part of what this is about. So the next section we're going to is one that's about, we do hear a lot of co-ops say, we're going to have lots of great jobs. And that's the number of jobs that you have is actually really dependent on the size and scale of your store. And also, staff people are one of the things that does drive prices up, having higher wages and more staff people. So higher wages mean higher prices. And also a lot of jobs in retail are pretty minimal skill jobs, like stacking shelves or moving things from one place to another. What's really nice about the jobs is they are socially conscious business, but the number of jobs you have could be not very many, potentially. Mark, would you like to?
Well, and what I would just add is, or the actual number of jobs might be less than what someone imagines it might be if you just lay out the idea that, and the co-op's going to have great jobs, which hopefully you will have great jobs. But in the imaginations that we have, people might, equate going to a big grocery store and seeing, 200 people or 100 people, a lot of people working there. And what happens in your co-op is really different. Like Jade said, it'll be dependent on your scale. So we're just making sure, like, okay, when we're talking about jobs, how do we anchor it in something where we can carry alignment kind of through the whole story, and we don't create a problem for the organization later when it's like, okay, we have 25 great jobs, and someone's like, what? I thought this was going to be a lot of great jobs. Right.
So this is then, how will you talk to your community about jobs at the co-op? So we're going to also send you back to your breakout rooms. You'll have a minute, and then 3 minutes to talk a little bit more about that. And we'll bring you back. All right, there you go.